Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Just Two Brothers podcast, where we will be sharing our journey so far and some of the simple tactics we've learned that have helped us become great leaders.
On this week's episode of the Just Two Brothers podcast, Ryan and I sit down and continue our discussion from last week, diving more into detail about my background and what I do on a day-to-day basis. Hope you enjoy, and thanks for listening.
And now I want to hear more about yours, because I know most of your experience, but you've done a lot of stuff that I don't even know about.
I've done a lot of stuff, but I've done a lot of stuff just at the company I'm at. Well, first, I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
Maybe I missed this, but when you left woodworking and went to the automotive industry, did you spend time on a production, like working as just a production, just on the floor as an operator? Or were you just moved into a management position?
At the automotive place, yeah. I was right to supervisor.
Okay.
That was the position I applied for. That was the position I got.
Okay.
So yeah, my training, I spent a week on the floor running equipment, going through weld training, all of that kind of stuff. So I did have that experience, and then through my time, I ran the line.
Yeah.
I ran the line often, but no, I never had a position of running the floor of running equipment.
Did you work in production at any other job prior to that?
The woodworking place. I ran the CNC for a while, and I built cabinets for a little while. Before that, I owned the company, so we did all of that. Before that, I was electrician, and before that it was all odd factory jobs, and I had been on lines there.
Okay. I guess that's what you've worked in factories as an operator, doing whatever in the past. So you've pretty much seen everything from the floor up through management levels. From different
the automotive place, there's so many levels to that because of how big it was, and it was a global company. There's so many layers to management.
Automotive is a behemoth.
Well, and that was one other thing I did want to touch on. This was something I had a hard time with at the furniture company. And one of the hills I died on, they tried to implement cycle times and stuff like that at the furniture company, and that was towards the end of when I was there. And I understood how all of it worked. I knew the concept behind it. I struggled because we did not do enough of the same product, the exact same product, in order to maintain the tempo that they wanted.
Mm-hmm. You can't come up with a good constant average for a cycle time when you don't do the same thing.
We had, for instance, we had tables that had to be, the substrate had to be painted. The size varied anywhere from a 24-inch round all the way up to a 168-inch three-piece. So it was 168 inches long by 61 inches wide. And this is a giant table that had to be painted on the bottom side, an edge and everything. So those are two drastically different types of pieces that need to get painted. Crazy amounts of time. And they expected that to just average out. Well, we'll do all of this. We'll figure out how much of all of these we typically run, and we'll give an average. Well, that doesn't work because we get more smaller ones than bigger ones. But then sometimes we get a bunch of big ones crammed in there. When that happens and you're running off an average, there goes your entire schedule. Mm-hmm. You're never going to recover because it's just adding and adding and adding now.
Right.
So they would not understand that automotive is different from furniture. There are certain things that you could get set up like an automotive facility. But you have to have the same repeated process over and over and over and over and over and over again for those concepts to completely work. You may be able to adapt them and tweak them, but verbatim as is will not work. I'm telling you.
You need some consistency in order to
and
automate
I
processes.
saw that firsthand. When you have the same exact repeatable process, that is the only time all of these different metrics will work, and all of this cycle time and holding somebody to that type of a schedule will work. When you're running essentially custom furniture, where every piece that you send through your shop is slightly different, you cannot run it like that.
Yep.
Because it's all different.
Yeah, you can't. Not with custom stuff.
And even if
be
it's
as
off,
efficient as possible.
even if something is off by 1/4 of an inch, that's still a big difference. Now, all of that, it can't be split up and spread out and done individually and all brought together at one spot, because pieces might get mixed up because they're off by just a very little bit. So you have to keep certain stuff together, or you have a certain grain pattern or whatever that has to match up. Like, these things it takes a little bit more time to make sure it comes out to the quality that you want. So automotive quality is different from furniture quality. Like, it just is. Yes, there's a certain precision to certain elements, but you can get that set up to be repeatable using equipment. There's woodworking stuff that is all done by hand that you can only get that so automated. In order to get a specific look that you're looking for, to make a customer happy, because it's not covered with some piece of plastic or metal behind everything.
You can't dress it up.
Exactly. You can't hide. It doesn't matter how certain welds look. As long as they're strong, weld can look terrible because it's going to be hidden. Nobody's ever going to see it. That until that car gets in an accident, and then it's going to look a lot worse than it does right now.
Right.
So, but a piece of furniture that's sitting at somebody's reception desk, like, takes a little bit more time. You can only schedule that so far. You can only foresee so many issues or whatever because of how custom it is.
I get that. We build custom machines.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Good luck.
And you can apply certain aspects and metrics from one to the other, but you cannot take automotive and implement it in custom furniture and have it work. I've seen it tried. It does not work. So that is one major difference between the two of those that I have seen. I knew it was there, and I have seen it.
100% can see that. Building custom machines. We're trying to figure out how to maximize efficiency. Like, what can we do? It's all custom.
Yeah.
Things change. Every time one thing changes, it changes everything.
Right. I guess that's kind of a nice segue into
how do you average that time, you know? Yeah, me. Out of high school, I jumped right into the trades. I got a job in a machine shop. I don't even remember what kind of parts we machined. Stuff for big mining equipment and things like that. I learned how to do CNC programming. I did that for like 9 months before.
That's all G code you're talking, right?
Yes, G&M code and everything like that.
Because I've never actually done G code programming. That's foreign to me.
That is how I had to do. We were given a paper print with drill hole size, location, what it was tapped to, and that's it. Program it. G&M code, figure it out. Had to learn G&M code over the course of 9 months. Figured out how to program it. I wasn't great. I didn't care very much. I was fucking 17, 18 years old. Did not care. Didn't have anything to worry about. So I learned how to do it. I was able to do it. I did it for a little while. Didn't think I was going to stick with it for very long. Decided I would join the Marine Corps. Went to the Marine Corps, did the reserve thing. Came back between going to boot camp and the machine shop, I worked in a production facility for same thing, automotive parts, steel stamping. I just packed parts for 9 months, 11 months before I went to boot camp. Knew I didn't want to go back to doing that. I knew I was smarter than just packing 10 pieces together and throwing them in a box every single day. I knew I could do more than that. When I came back, I got a job doing CNC machining again. That I learned how to program in SolidWorks, and I learned design and kind of playing with SolidWorks and learning all that.
And that's what I'm familiar with, SolidWorks and
That's and
AlphaCAD.
Mastercam and whatever else to learn how to program.
Not AlphaCAD. AutoCAD.
AutoCAD, yep.
Goodness.
So SolidWorks, we did all of our programming with that. I ran Haas CNCs for, I think I was at that company for 14 months just running CNCs. I ran one little small vertical mill. We built dies they were deep draw dies for automotive industry and whatever else. West Michigan is full of automotive.
Yeah.
It's mainly automotive, so most of what we do around here is automotive. So I worked at a machine shop there for a little over a year until I found out I was having a kid. When I found out I was having my daughter, I wanted off of second shift. And my girlfriend at the time, who ended up being my future wife, now ex-wife, her brother-in-law worked at a machine build company. Said, hey, we're hiring machine builders. Why don't you come work with me? I didn't want to work with him. Could not stand the guy. Did not like him one bit. Had some issues at the company I was working at. I was bored of the programming. CNC programming is challenging. You can make decent money doing it. But I feel like you can only get so good at it before it becomes boring to you. At least for me. I would program so much, or the extent of what I was doing, I could only program so much, and I would just sit there and twiddle my thumbs. Some issues happened. I ended up leaving because I was sitting around too much when I was really just worked that far ahead and had nothing else to do. Ended up just deciding I needed to leave there. Gave it a shot, went to the machine build company, asked them for an interview. Went through, told them I had experience with CNC machining, manual machining, and I knew how to spin a wrench. I worked on cars and everything like that. I built engines before. So they gave me a shot just to do general kind of maintenance, or not general maintenance, general labor, CNC machining, and machine building at the machine build company, which is where I'm at now. I've been there for 9 years. So like I said, I started out doing general labor and machine building. My ex-brother-in-law was the machine build manager or lead machine builder, and him and I did not see eye to eye and got in quite a few arguments and disagreements where it was decided it was best for me to not work in machine build or to build machines on my own. So there was a point in time where I got separated from machine building and I just did CNC machining. And then I got utilized for both CNC as well as machine building, and I would just kind of work on my own projects away from the guy I didn't get along with. So I just build my own machine and then I go back to machining. I did that for probably a year and a half, and an opportunity came up where they needed somebody to learn how to wire. So they said, you want to learn how to wire? So yeah, I think I could learn how to do that. So I learned how to do panel build electrical panels for the machines that we build.
What kind of machines?
So we build lines that go through that whole process of assembling like a side view mirror or a door handle or put a piece of glass into a work cell and it does the injection molding process, puts in clips and bezels and whatever, and then sends a finished product out the line that just clips into your car. So we do the entire process from like a customer like the customers or the companies you worked for would come to us and say, here's a new product that we're going to provide for our customer. We need tooling and machines to assemble and build and do inspections on these parts. You'd come to our company and we sit down and design machines based on what you need and cycle. You guys give us the cycle times, what you need to check for, all the parts you need to check, and what you want the function of the machines to do. And we build it for you based on those guidelines that we're given. So overall, that's what we do as a company. So I started building the machines, just assembling them, then doing machining on the side. Then I got into panel build for the machines. So I learned how to build the electrical panels. Once I learned how to build electrical panels, I started learning how to actually wire the machines. By this time, I already knew how to plumb the pneumatics on them, so I understood how pneumatic systems worked, valve stacks and whatever. Now I learned how to wire everything, how DC systems work, how AC circuits work. I didn't know any of that stuff before going there. I'd never thought I'd go to a place to build machines and learn how to wire everything in my house, essentially, on top of everything past that. So I learned how to wire the machines, AC and DC. I did that for, I think, 2.5 years. Started doing bigger installs of work cells and machines and taking the lead on the electrical side of things. So once I learned how to build the electrical panels and wire everything, I could tell other people that were working alongside of me or were just coming in to say, hey, I need this ran here. This is what needs to be done. I was able to start giving other people direction based on just having that experience of everything from the ground up. I know mechanically if something's not right, I know how to quick go and machine it, or I can tell somebody, this is what I need done to it. I don't have to go through 6 different people to ask questions on how to solve a problem because I have that base knowledge. So I was able to start giving people direction and leading installs. And then
what all does that entail? Leading an install?
There's kind of a couple different phases on the installs. I mean, you have a mechanical assembly of everything. If we're doing an install at a customer's facility, all the mechanical assemblies, tabletops, guarding, anything needs to be brought in and installed to laid out positions, whatever.
Okay.
Once mechanical install is done, now electrical has to come and figure out where electrical systems need to run, what needs to communicate where the main power is going to be ran. Sort of like if you've laid out a house, you've done electrical before, you need to know where the main power is going into your house, what rooms are going to have your receptacles in, where you're going to have light switches, where you're going to have fans or lights, whatever. We do the same thing for work cells. We have to lay it out where here's power coming in, here's where we need a light, here's where we need a receptacle, here's where we need a fan. We have to figure all that out, figure out how we're going to lay it around the cell, how each tabletop's going to get power, how everything's going to communicate between everything, and then how to integrate our work cell into the actual press or injection molding machine or whatever we need to integrate into if we're integrating into something else. So that's the electrical portion of it, is figuring all that out ahead of time and then moving forward with the process of getting it done. So I was able to, at that 4 years in, say, here's how we need to lay out this work cell, here's how the electrical systems need to be, here's what I need pulled here, here's how much wire needs to go here, just give everybody direction on how the electrical system need to be laid out.
Okay.
So I had a good understanding of that and debug of when electrical problems would happen, if there were shorts in work cells or a machine. I could start to figure out debug of that kind of stuff. I did that for a couple years, and then we had a programmer quit, and they said, you want to learn how to program? Yeah, sure, why not? So, well, with programming, you're also going to learn how to design electrical systems. So then I started getting into AutoCAD electrical, and I learned how to design the electrical systems for all the machines. So I've done schematic design, as well as design the pneumatic systems for all of our machines. And I've also done programming of the PLCs, which are programmable logic controllers. It's your computer in the machine that controls everything.
Yep.
The HMIs, which are human machine interfaces, which are the actual screens, the touch screens that you work on. All of that I design and program, and any freak drives, servos, scales, camera systems, gantry crane systems, 6-axis robot systems, all of that. I've done all the programming for all of that. So now I essentially still lead the electrical install of a lot of our work cells. I work one-on-one with most of our customers to make sure they're satisfied with the product they're getting. Any of the cycle times and everything that you've had to deal with on the production side of things, you'd come to me and say, I need this stuff put up on that screen. Now I got to figure out how to take all that information in the program and how to make that populate the information you're trying to see and the stuff that you need on that screen to do your job. Yeah, that's low down and dirty.
And you program the machines to move, pick up certain things, twist it, turn it, and then you have to go in and find, I guess, would it be improvements to your program that would make it run more efficiently, or how do you guys get it in? How do you get it into that cycle time? Because I know that is usually bid on ahead of time, and like you said, given to you by the customer. I'm sure there's been some interaction beforehand of, well, maybe not.
We've had customers hold hundreds of thousands of dollars over our head over 3 seconds.
Oh, I believe it. I know it's crazy cutthroat.
We had a machine.
How do you make that happen? That's crazy to me. To be given here, this has to be done in this amount of time. Make it happen.
Some things are stupid simple. The fastest cycle time I've had on a machine was 3/4 of a second, and it was testing a module inside of a piece of glass. You plugged it in, tested it, got a amp or a current draw, tested the current draw within a window, retracted, and then hit a pinprick to put a little dot in it. It's 3/4 of a second. It's the fastest the cycle time's been, or way faster than people. Didn't expect it to be that fast, but it was stupid fast. Did it even do anything it was supposed to do? Oh yeah, yep, it checked, passed, it worked. But a lot of it has to do with can you shorten up paths? Like when it comes to robots, can you make this move from point A to point B? Can you make that happen in half the time? Do we have to do these weird twists and turns and shit like that? Can we do something? Can we change an end of arm tool to, instead of just pick on one side with vacuum, can we do two sides with vacuum to just add efficiency so we have less pick and place or whatever? It really,
and make sure all the different robots don't collide with each other and with all the fixtures.
Yes, and make sure everything is within standards and specifications for safety. Safety is a big one.
Yeah.
And you can push cycle times, but you can push cycle times to the point where you're making the machine unsafe because you're going so fast where it's going to cause issues. I've had machines move servos so fast that the whole machine shook back and forth.
Holy
cow. We should probably slow that down a little bit.
Jeez.
Sometimes it's a matter of just changing settings in a camera. And you can find out that you programmed a camera and did 2 different job types, and now you doubled the time of that camera taking just because it has to do 2 different things inside of its own internal camera. It's understanding how everything gets its signals and where to use timers and where not to use timers, and there's a lot of internal programming. People don't like programmers because it's a lot of magic behind the scenes that nobody understands. So, I get bitched at all the time. Like, you came over and been dealing with this shit for 4 hours. You have 5 minutes with it, and all of a sudden, magically, it's back up and running. But
we had our electrical engineer was Richard. He'd have to come over and plug his little computer into the back of our HMIs. What's the problem? Pull it up and go find out what the problem was. Oh, yeah, this is doing this. I just did this and this and this. Okay. And we need to shave a couple seconds off this cycle time. How can we make this robot do this differently? We need to be able to get in there and do, like one of ours was, we needed to figure out how to get inside to clean our machines because we had so much weld slag build up. How can we get in there and do these cleaning cycles more efficiently without having to shut the entire machine down or it taking so long and possibly causing other issues when you lock it out? I'm sure you know about how finicky some of them damn machines can be.
Yes, and I have to figure out every single issue with them. And it's the best part of my job, but sometimes it can be the worst part of my job.
Yeah, they're just finicky, almost like they have personalities sometimes. Like, you got to sweet talk them sometimes to get them to run right.
And you stroke them just right, and things will work just fine.
Exactly. The next day, for absolutely no reason, they'll just go to shit again. Like, really?
Bad attitude, and decided not to work.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very frustrating part about programming is you have to see certain things, and sometimes everything has to be the right.
Oh, and that's it too. We call them out. They're like, "Hey, we're having this problem." It comes out and like it's not happening now. Okay, well, call me back when it happens. As soon as they get, get back. What?
It's just like working on your car.
Yeah.
You bring your car in, the mechanic's like, nothing's wrong with it. Well, there was a squeak. Well, it's not there now, so now I can't do anything about it. But I mean, that happens all the time. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what I do. Sums it up. I mean, I've done everything from machining parts on a machine to assembling the machine to designing the electrical system, wiring and plumbing that same machine, and then turning around and programming the PLC, HMI, and 3 robots on the same machine. That was during COVID when nobody wanted to work or nobody was working, and we still had machines to build. So
gotcha.
They said, "Hey, can you come in and build the machine for us?" And I'm thankfully able to do every single part of that job.
Right.
The only thing that is in our company that I do not have experience in is mechanical design and quoting jobs and managing jobs.
But at this point, you could probably quote a job just based on the experience you have.
Based on what I know, how much time time everything takes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And I know they come to me about how long is this going to take, because I can say, well, you put me on it, it's going to take this much time. You put so-and-so on it, it's going to take this much time. You want to make more money? Here's how much to quote it at. This is what we got to do. And I love that fact, because I can do whatever. I can talk to anybody on the floor, and I know that there's something that we can have. I mean, we can both kind of bounce ideas back and forth, and there's not a disconnect because I have that experience of mechanical.
Right.
Everybody knows that I know how to do every job in there. So it's been very beneficial in that sense. But yeah, I don't think there's anything at that company that I don't know how to do. At least to some extent.
Right. Could figure your way through it if needed.
And in the meantime of all of that, I also did 6 years in the Marine Corps, where I was going on a 1 weekend a month for the reserves and 2 weekends in summer. I was an infantry rifleman, where I was a team leader and a squad leader in various positions, leadership positions and roles through the Marine Corps. And I also did 2.5 years in there. I was a firefighter. So I've done a lot of different things and seen leadership from a lot of different aspects. And
firefighter one, I'd be interested to hear about more sometime.
That was a cool experience. But yeah, story for another time.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what I do.
Fun stuff.
As far as management, I have a lot of terrible experience making bad decisions as a leader, but the military was that.
Well, but you've learned a lot from your failures.
Yes, it was a good way. Trying to find the word for it.
And you don't have much formal experience with leadership. Yours is probably more people and situational based leadership. Yeah. I've got a little more of the practical side of it, along with the people side, and you've got a lot of the people side.
I guess my leadership is not based on a leadership from a position of leadership,
right,
but more a position of leadership on the same team.
Yeah.
Or taking lead in a group of people that
what
don't have.
We all as leaders look for in our team members.
Yes.
People who just, this is what I want to do. I want to, you've adapted that or taken that leadership kind of responsibility through each one of your positions.
Right.
You strive to do
taken
better.
On
to
that
do
role
more.
because
yes.
of, and used my experience to put myself in a position where I can take that role instead
Keep
of
moving up. Yep.
just sitting there continuing to do that job.
Right.
Yep.
And your failures as how not to do those interactions, how not to have some conversations, and yeah. So that's where your experience comes from.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much wraps it up. I got what I wanted. I heard a lot more about what you do. I understand a lot more. We've talked in the past, especially when I was at that automotive place, about possibly trying to get you guys in there to do some of our work. But so I knew a lot of what you did,
and I have a good understanding of what you did just because I work with everything that you've done at the automotive facilities. Like those are the people I work with.
Yeah.
That's my world. That's the world that I've been in for the last 12 years.
Right. Yeah, so you're familiar with that one. But.
Yep.
All right. I think we'll wrap it up there.
Sounds good.
Don't forget to check us out on social media. We are at Just Two Brothers Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are, we are. Drop us a follow.
Like, subscribe, wherever you're at. Thanks for listening, guys.
See y'all later.